TSA acting administrator was testifying before the House Homeland Security yesterday on the effects of the department shutdown, which is now on day 41. This is Haywood McNeil, excuse me. Senate Democrats blocked a procedural vote on the GOP's offer to fund the whole department. It was a 54 to 46 vote, but it fell short of the 60 votes needed. The Democrats once again sent their own counter proposals. Senate Majority Leader Thune called them, quote, not even close to being real. Meanwhile, staffing shortages at the TSA are causing America's airport lines to grow. President Trump suggesting another idea to help alleviate congestion. Listen to this.
They're doing such an unbelievable job at the airports that they had one line. It was 4 hours yesterday, and today was a half an hour. Big, big difference. And if we have to, we're going to send in the National Guard if we need to, because we only, we have 6,000 ICE agents and we have 40,000 of the other people that they're helping out, some of who really were forced because the Democrats don't want to pay them.
Joining me now is Arkansas Congressman Rick Crawford. He chairs the House Intelligence Committee and is a member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Mr. Chairman, I do want to get your thoughts on what you just heard from the president, how to alleviate the problems at these TSA lines. However, I think the fastest way to do that would be to fund the Department of Homeland Security. But your thoughts?
Well, ideally, that would be the perfect thing to do, is for Democrats to get off their high horse, quit playing politics with national security, and do their jobs. That would be the ideal scenario. Failing that, the president does have some options here. He's already used ICE agents to help augment TSA, and now he's suggesting the possibility that National Guard could be used, which all of those things work in a pinch. I think that I would support either of those as short-term options, but I don't think that's something we want to engage in long-term. I think there's also, again, the best short-term option is fund DHS. This pain at the airport is what we feel right now. What we're not feeling or aware of is the potential pain that they're causing from a national security perspective as it applies to our Coast Guard, our CBP, other elements of national security within the DHS that we hope we don't hear from. But what if we do? What if there's another calamity because these folks are understaffed, they're not being paid, there are presenting security challenges at the border, presenting security challenges at our ports and our coastal waterways and things of this nature, where Coast Guard is an integral part of our national security. I hope for their sake, and I hope for the sake of the American people, that they give this a little better consideration and recognize the need to fund DHS quickly.
Congressman Todd Pyro here. Let me jump in. We're in a situation where people who actually truly understand the nuance of this issue really recognize that Republicans are in the right and Democrats are in the wrong. But as we well know, the mainstream media that is consumed by the majority of this country is not in the business of nuance. And they are not in the business of propping up Republicans. So right now, do you think you are winning the narrative on this? And if not, how do you fix that before November?
Well, I went through a TSA in my airport in Memphis I fly in and out of every week, and one of the TSA agents there just quietly, discreetly thanked me for doing everything that you can and appreciate you very much. Thanks for what you do. So I think the workforce is really aware of what's taking place here. And the irony of this is the Democrats have hung their hat for decades on being the champions of the workforce. And here they are leaving the workforce in the lurch for now 40-odd days with no end in sight. And this is so easy to fix, except for the fact that they're intransigent on this ICE issue. And by the way, ICE was funded for 3 years in the Working Families Tax Cut bill. So what they're asking for is untenable. It's to strip funding away from ICE, and then we're willing to go ahead and pay the folks that are on the job right now protecting America. That is not a reasonable position at all. And I do think this is starting to break through, not just in the TSA world, but across the workforce, everywhere. People are coming to the realization that the Democrats have sold them out because they're willing to play politics with critical issues like this.
Well, certainly in a midterm year, this is not something that either party, I'm assuming, wants to have in voters' minds when they go to the polls. missiles later this year.
Correct.
President Trump, by the way, has been very busy this morning on Truth Social. He has just given us an update on the Iran negotiations. Here's what he wrote this morning. The Iranian negotiators are very different and strange. They are begging us to make a deal, which they should be doing since they have been militarily obliterated with zero chance of a comeback. And yet they publicly state that they are only looking at our proposal. Wrong. They better get serious soon before it's too late, because once that happens, there is no turning back. It won't be pretty. The administration reportedly pitched a 15-point proposal to halt the conflict. Iranian state media claims that they rejected that offer. And then Israel is now saying this morning that they've killed Iran's Navy chief that's overseeing the Strait of Hormuz blockade. And the president has said he's ready to send the 82nd Airborne to the Middle East to help get the Strait of Hormuz open, Mr. Chairman. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think this is an important time for Iran to stop and reconsider their position. Look, the president's not playing around. He's not bluffing. And he means what he says. So I would think that it would be in their interest to say, let's make a deal and let's do it quickly. If not, I think the consequences are going to be much more grave than what they've experienced thus far. And I do think that our Gulf state allies, I think this is important to note, that they are asking the president to finish the job. They know, too, that this can't be left undone, unresolved, because if you allow Iran to sort of reconstitute, that does present a major challenge and a threat to those countries in the neighborhood in that Gulf region. So they actually want the United States. They want President Trump to be the leader. They want him to take the action. They're not backing away. They are making a contribution. The communication that I'm seeing from these countries is that we are in this with you, but we don't want you to get cold feet on us, stay the course, finish this deal, and it's going to be better for everybody in the Gulf region.
All right. Well, again, markets having a reaction again to all of this, with futures down and oil higher. We're watching all of it. Congressman Rick Crawford, thank you for being here, sir.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back, everybody.